Good evening, everyone. I am Madhusmita, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to today's session, AWS reInvent Recap 2025, organized by the AWS Cloud Club, St. Joseph's College of Engineering, under the PEP Cloud Computing and DevOps Center. AWS reInvent is where some of the most impactful ideas in cloud computing are introduced, and in today's session is all about bringing those ideas closer to us, especially from the students and the builder perspective. This recap focuses on the launching and the innovations that truly matter, from the AI driven services and the DevOps advancements to the security, data, and scalable cloud infrastructure. We are truly glad to have with us a wonderful set of speakers who will be sharing their insights and key takeaways from the AWS reInvent 2025. It is an absolute honor to welcome Dhyana Suresh, captain of the AWS Cloud Club, along with Joshua Moses, Saravana Priyan, and Keshav Srinivas, each bringing their own perspectives and insights from this global cloud event. To all the curious and capable minds here today, this is your chance to understand where the cloud heads and this how it grows along with it. So stay open, shoot questions, and let this session spark new ideas for the future. Let's extend a warm welcome to our speakers and begin this exciting session.
Thank you so much, Madhusmita, for such a warm welcome. I hope my audio is clear. Would anyone drop a thumbs up if my audio is clear? Yeah, thank you so much. Manasa, can you please share these slides?
Yes, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yes, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. First of all, thank you to everybody for joining this session. And to start off, I'm Dhyana, the AWS Cloud Captain of St. Joseph College of Engineering. So we are going to quickly cover the AWS reInvent highlights of this year's, the launches in AI, DevOps, security, and automation, so on. So I'll be covering the DevOps launches of reInvent. So before I start, quick question. I just want you all to raise your hands if you know the answer for this question. How many of you here have heard the word DevOps? Okay, thank you. Could you please put your hands down? Now, the second question, how many of you have actually used DevOps in a real project? Okay. See, so that's the gap between hearing and doing. So that is exactly what my talk is going to be about. Because every year, AWS reInvent shows us where the industry is going. And this year, DevOps became faster, simpler, and more student-friendly than ever before. So for the next few minutes, I won't talk in a corporate engineer way. I'll talk like a student who wants to build, break, fix, and deploy. So by the end of my talk, you'll understand what DevOps really means today and what AWS launched at reInvent that is related to DevOps, and how you, as a student, can actually use this and not just hear it. So, what is AWS reInvent? Does anybody know what AWS reInvent is? If you know, please unmute yourselves and you're free to answer.
It's annually conducted event by AWS.
Yeah, that's right. So AWS reInvent is Amazon Web Services flagship global cloud conference. So I'll explain what reInvent is. Reinvent literally means to invent again. That means to rethink or rebuild something in a better way. So it's annually held in Las Vegas, which brings together developers, cloud engineers, security, DevOps professionals, students, AWS leaders, innovators, and so on. So this year, they had about 70,000 plus people. So that's a platform where AWS launches its biggest technologies of this year. So think of reInvent as a place where AWS shows the future of cloud before it actually reaches the other part of the world. So one thing, one note for all the students is that startup listen to reinvent, enterprises listen, and trust me, the recruiters also listen. So when you understand reinvent launches early as a student, you're already ahead of the curve. Manasa, next slide, please. Okay. So guess what? I attended AWS reInvent live this year. So everything I'm sharing today is not just from blogs or YouTube videos that I saw. I was physically there attending sessions, keynotes, and community events. So that makes a huge difference because you understand why AWS launches something, not just what they launch. So reinvent is not about just services, it's about people. So I met a lot of students, professionals, AWS experts, all learning from each other. That's when I realized that even students belong here too. So now let me take everything I learned at reinvent and put everything in a simpler way. So let me describe a common pain point of student projects. So there's this saying like a code works on only on my laptop, doesn't work on my teammate's laptop, or server crashes during the demo, or the manual deployments, doing manual deployments at 2 a.m. This is why exactly DevOps exists. So DevOps is not a tool. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is what DevOps is about. It's not a tool like Jenkins or Docker or Kubernetes alone. DevOps is a culture with automation where you build faster, you deploy safely, you fail less, and you can recover very much faster. Plan, code, build, test, deploy, monitor, improve. So AWS reInvent launches this year focused on removing all the friction from this particular pipeline or loop. So now that we understood what DevOps is and why reinvent matters, let's get into the most important part of my talk today. So I'm not going to read launch announcements. I am going to translate them into a very student-friendly way. So every launch I explain, make sure that you ask yourself this one question. Can I use this in my next project? Will I find it useful, or will I be able to use it, or will I be like going through a quick demo or something? So let me be honest, the traditional DevOps is a lot overwhelming for students. So you want to explore DevOps, but when you are in the middle of something and you are like, you find no help, you just quit. So you open AWS and suddenly there's IAM policies, permissions, pipelines, YAML files, errors that you don't understand. So many students quit DevOps not because it's useless, but because it's too complex for the students to understand at the beginning. Next slide, please. Yeah. So at reInvent, AWS was like, okay, this is fine. So they introduced something called as Amazon Code Catalyst. It is a single place where you can write code, store code, build pipelines, deploy applications, monitor everything. No jumping between multiple services like 10 to 12 services. So think of Code Catalyst like you can use GitHub for code, Jenkins for pipeline, AWS console for deployment, all combined into one single dashboard that is Code Catalyst. So how would you enjoy it? Imagine this flow. You and your teammate are pushing a code, pipeline runs automatically, application deploys, you get success or failure instantly. Instantly is all that matters. That feedback loop, that is real DevOps learning. So another huge DevOps upgrade this year is, next slide please, infrastructure as code. So most students build infrastructure like this. So they click here, they like create an EC2 instance, add security group, and then they forget what they created. So 2 weeks later you can't recreate what you created 2 weeks ago. So AWS doubled down this one with cloud formation, AWS CDK, meaning that your infrastructure should be written as code, not to be remembered in your head. So that makes sense because instead of saying I created an EC2 instance manually, You can say, here's my cloud formation template. So with infrastructure as code, IAC, you can rebuild your projects within minutes. Your teammates can deploy the same setup. You look professional in interviews. So this is where I think students will start sounding like engineers. So imagine this, your app crashed just before demo. Your logs are everywhere. You don't know where to look for. And that is where AI ops enters. Next slide, please. So AI ops, that is the third launch that I'm going to talk about. So AWS is not just using AI to analyze the logs, detect anomalies, suggest root cause, or reduce downtime. So DevOps is moving from reactive to predictive. So for students, this means there's less guessing, faster debugging, better understanding of failures, because you don't understand why you make mistake. Failure is no longer scary, so it becomes a learning signal with AI ops. If you can't see your system, you can fix it. So next slide. And one thing that I've noticed this year is that AWS reInvent heavily improved on observability. Everywhere, even in the booths, everywhere, there was so much about observability that I had to learn. And observability means metrics, logs, traces. So metrics is basically how healthy my app is, and logs are what exactly happened. So, and traces is where did it break. So observability is like the exam results. If you don't check them, you'll only realize the problem during the placement. So you don't know what's going to happen until you like keep checking, detecting, and like fixing those errors. So AWS want those DevOps engineers to detect problems early, fix them fast, learn continuously, and yes, even students can do this. So next slide. Yeah, many students think that security comes at the end, but that is not very true, because AWS made it clear that security must be set up inside the pipeline. Now pipelines can scan code, check permissions, detect vulnerability automatically. So this means that fewer mistakes, safer projects, and strong resumes. So if you're not building apps, you're not just building apps, you're building trustworthy systems. So if you notice one pattern from reInvent, AWS is making DevOps simpler, smarter, and safe, more accessible to students. So DevOps is no longer like a senior manager or senior only skill. It is a student based skill too. So now the big question is that how do we as students actually use this? So first thing is that you stop doing manual deployments, and you pick one DevOps tool, apply it in one project, you break it, you fix it. So that's what real learning is about. A simple student DevOps stack is basically GitHub, and now that you can use AWS Code Catalyst rather than using so many AWS services inside it, and EC2, ECS, CloudWatch. So that alone is enough for you to stand out of the crowd. And that's how student turned reInvent launches into real world project. So I'll hand over it to the next speaker. Thank you so much.
Hi, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, so let's start my presentation. So, hi all. I'm Joshua, and I guess you all have heard about what AWS Reinvent is, right? So, AWS Reinvent is nothing but just reinventing new ideas as every year goes by, as new technologies grow, as AI tends to grow a lot. We discover new things and we reinvent new things. So that is basically AWS Reinvent. And now I'm going to talk about AI plus security, which means that AI is growing a lot. Do you agree? Like every day we tend to see AI moving faster than yesterday. So if that's the case, then the attackers or the hackers are going to move a lot more faster. Then that will put the entire system into a huge risk of attacks and everything else. So we need to apply security in AI, which is a must. And this generation AI, Gen AI, introduced a lot of new attack surfaces. The attack surface, what I mean is that, let's say earlier, how we use security is that we might have a rule to allow certain IPs to access the system or certain use cases in our systems. But now with the growth of AI, we need to look for a behavioral kind of system. So we need to we cannot configure a certain pattern, but we need a changing pattern configuration based on the behavior of the AI. And security must evolve with intelligence. So 3 years ago, ChatGPT wasn't that big of a hit, but right now, everywhere I go, we see ChatGPT, right? So by that, security is a must. The risk of data, the risk of security is a needed thing. So let's see how AWS focus on security. Before moving on to the launches at the reInvent 2025, I would like to talk about the AI risk in security. So, how many of you have heard of SQL injection? If you can just give a thumbs up or raise your hands. Great. So we all know what is SQL injection, right? But in the case of AI, there's something called as prompt injection. Prompt injection is nothing but manipulating user inputs to override system. Override the system. What do I mean by this? So let's say that there's a very smart hacker and very smart attacker who's using a trained model. They can give inputs such as it can just hack the background trained database of the ML model. So it can, give out sensitive data, it can just offensive responses, and a lot can be done by prompt injection. So next thing is data poisoning. What is data poisoning? So when you're training the ML model or any AI model for that case, people tend to, add or slip some malicious data into the trained model or any biased data. So whenever a user gives a prompt, the responses are always biased or always some harmful or hateful speech. So that is data poisoning. Next, model misuse. Model misuse is using a legitimate AI model for harmful or unauthorized purposes. So this model misuse is very crucial because attackers can, clone the entire AI model built by a firm using this model misuse. They can just keep on attacking by repeated questions of prompt, repeated unknown intentional questions, and get the entire restricted data or restricted access and even clone the entire model. And then sensitive data leakage. We tend to post a lot of photos to ChatGPT, right? We ask to create different styles of photos, different styles of images, and a lot of stuff. We even give out our personal information such as date, the date of birth, mobile numbers, or even a lot of personal things. So attackers tend to, collect the sensitive data from the ML model to use for harmful purpose. So these are all the risks involved in AI. So let's see how AWS tackles it. So actually, in 2025, AWS launched Security Agent, which is an AI-powered autonomous agent. So AI-powered autonomous is that you don't need human intervention for the AI model to run. You don't need a manual labor to run the security agent. It just keeps on scanning your code, review your architecture. It just like keep on scans your code from the scratch. Design to deployment. What it does is that we always tend to focus security on the production level or after we build, let's say I am a third year student building a project. What I do is that I don't take security in my mind. Like I don't care about that. But after I build my model, after I design a web application, and I go in front of a panel of people who are trained expertise, they tend to only focus on security. Then I think about, okay, what should I do about security? So this AWS security agent focuses from the design till the deployment. like from the scratch when you're designing the idea, AWS security agent reviews your idea and reviews your code. It gives out uh, suggestions based on the security risk so that it can be mitigated. AI assisted code analysis and pen testing. So this tool acts like a hacker and acts like an attacker and runs simulations based on the use cases and the web application and gives out your suggestions for mitigating the risk. Left shift application security. So in this security agent, AWS security agent, something called as a left shift application is incorporated. So what are the left shift applications that we know the SDLC cycle, right? From idea, design, code, build, test, the cycle. So we tend to move, as far as I said, we tend to move at the last, we keep security on the last. But this left shift move from the production to left testing and then idea and then design. So it helps us to start from the starting of the SDLC cycle by incorporating the security of each stage and then mitigating the risk. So next is AWS Security Hub enhancement. So do you guys know what is Security Hub? I think a lot of second years have joined and might be studying your for certification exam. So if you know what is Security Hub, you can just unmute and say, okay, then I'll tell you what Security Hub. Security Hub is a centralized place where a lot of AWS security tools give you every alerts based on their system. So you use Guard Duty Inspector and makes integration in the Security Hub where it displays every alert in a unified centralized space. That's why it's called as the AWS Security Hub. So in the Irina 2025, what they did was they gave you a centralized security posture management, which is like to take up your trends from the 3 years of usage and the 3 years of security, every trend, it is displayed over there in Security Hub. Next, AI-based signal correlation. Now, this is the main feature which was introduced in the reinvent, which is before Security Hub depend upon individual requests like individual alerts separately from inspector, separately from guard duty. But this AI-based signal correlation correlates every alert, correlates the alert from inspector, correlates alert from guard duty, and runs a prediction model, and then give you the best case scenario to mitigate the security risk. So that fewer mistakes can be done because the security alerts can be a lot of times minor security risk or something else. But by based on this correlation system, we can have a highly prioritized task and we can actually know what is needed and what is not needed. Prioritize high risk findings. So in the Security Hub, we have something called as a priority risk from low to high priority. By this signal correlation, it just gives you out which is highly prioritized so that you can go to that and mitigate that risk. Next, guard duty threat detection. So before EC217 and ECS works on separate guard duty, but now we have expanded AI-driven threat detection, which introduces AI ML model pattern for threat detection. What AWS did is that they trained a lot of previous models for the threat detection, and then they had this pattern running so that you can analyze this AI-driven threat detection in the guard duty include ECS and EC2 workload coverage. So we can install this guard duty in our EC2 instance and to see for any security risk and then can be mitigated. Runtime threat monitoring. So what is runtime threat monitoring? While the EC2 instance is running, while from the moment it's set up till you disband the system, the security system runs on a prediction model. So it gives you an exact and accurate threat that needs to be mitigated by using AI and ML. Yes. Amazon Bedrock. So Bedrock is actually one of the most important AWS services, I would say, because it has a lot of AI models in which you can train. So first thing what they introduced at the reinvent is that strong tenant isolation. So what it means is that no data can be mixed in between your models. Every data stays separated. So there is no confusion or there is no mixed up between data. And in the bedrock security, you have fine grained IAM access control. What does this mean is that fine grained in the sense up to model level control, prompt level control, and data source level control. So you can configure and select which user or which access member needs to control which level of security. Next, built-in AI generated guardrail. So the important thing you have to know before building an AI models, what is guardrails? Guardrails are pre-configured set of practices or pre-configured rules you need to incorporate for an AI model. Because if you don't have a guardrails, it can just go unpredicted. It can go wildly absurd. So guardrails are there to maintain a particular AI, maintain a particular model to focus on its part. So this AI, this Amazon Bedrock security has built-in Gen AI guardrail so that the AI works as per your need. Next. So I think we have come to the end of session, end of my topic. AI is powerful, but security is smarter. So what I would like to advise is that we build AI faster. I think within a span of 30 minutes we can build a AI, we can build a web page. But you have to think about the security. If the security compromised, then the whole build goes waste. Attackers tend to attack all our passwords, all our security, all our information. So we need to keep in mind is that security is a must. Then smart AI needs smarter guardrails. As we tend to move to higher and higher web pages, higher and higher model systems, we need to maintain a specific set of guardrails, a specific set of pre-configured rules. So build bold AI, but lock it down with the correct security measures. So with this, I would close my presentation and hand over to the next speaker.
Okay, so I think that was a lovely session by Joshua Moses. And my topic here right now, first of all, just a minute. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Saravana Priyan, and I work with AWS cloud systems and AI-driven architectures. And I'm particularly interested in how real systems are being developed with actual use of and how AI is intended to work. So I think we can start with our thing. So what actually happened? What's the biggest shift at reInvent 2025 this year? I suppose in the earlier years, let's say 2, 3 years back, we have cloud infrastructure that required a lot of manual decision making. I think we still do, but it's about we choose, let's say, many of you would have heard about an EC2 instance, let's say, and Amazon, it's a service which AWS offers. So we select manually, configure the what size it has, what OS it's gonna take. So we manually configure a lot of things like scaling rules and configuration polls. We monitored costs too. So it's all manually done. But at reInvent 2025, as AI is growing very rapidly, we have AWS clearly chosen a different direction in how they're gonna take this new AI age. So let's get into it. AI infrastructure and cloud optimization. So I wanna clearly, you know, position, let's say, clearly tell you the direction in we are going. That systems are observing. We are not just using the systems. The systems observe what we use, and it takes the memory. It takes the what we used before and moves in forward and enhances itself for the next usage. I think that's the general baseline idea of what an AI is. And with the I want to start with the cost optimization. What happened? AWS strongly emphasized about cloud cost awareness this year. What do I mean by that? Cloud cost awareness isn't AWS, isn't cloud services are already very easy to maintain, very cost effective. We have infrastructure. Let's say we have a very huge warehouse. We store services. We pay for the electric bills. But I think it's already updated to a very effective way in AWS. But we have ensured it even more cost effectiveness by AI analyzing the usage patterns, what cost, what these services I have used, and these services have been billing this much, and I have been analyzing the patterns, and I'm gonna say you have loopholes, you have a bit of extra space in this, or you have used a lot than the previous month, so it automatically enhances itself. And I think the previous talks they have specified like a resource, an AWS service. Okay, just a minute. So AWS service. So they have pinpointed and chosen AWS service. Let's say in a AWS SageMaker or Bedrock. So these are AI services. But I think every single one of the AWS services has been enhanced by the usage of AI. By the EC2, the EC2 instance, the EC2 service has no, let's say, a no having no connection to AI. It's just a server. It's just a server. We use it to host our applications or a backend. Okay, but it has been enhanced by AI too. I want to talk about it by smarter scaling and performance too. Just a minute. And the big shift at reInvent, I want to continue by saying that the decisions that the infrastructure are making are becoming more AI assisted. What we plan, let's say we have an application or we want to bring up our startup ideas. You are second years, you have like many ideas, many project ideas you want to implement suddenly, and you can do it in just a span of like 10 minutes with a lot of AI tools. But it's all about architecting an application. It's not about building. We say it's about am I going to lose my job to AI? It's not about that. You're going to lose your job to AI if you don't know how to architect an application. So that's what at reInvent the big shift was about. We don't need to code. We don't need to manually code it. We just have to architect the decisions, and we just have to support the decisions the AI is already analyzing the pattern and making. It's more of a less guesswork and more data driven efficiency. And cloud systems are learning from usage patterns as we it checks the metrics, it checks the I have built this much this month, so it checks the metrics and it's actively adapting to our choices. And then again, cloud optimization. I think we have seen what cloud cost effectiveness has done to us. And here we have performance and scaling. What do we have here? Performance and scaling essentially boils down to using the services in a more efficient way. That's what we are seeing here. It's like a reactive scaling. What we use, it reacts to us. It reacts to us humans, what we manually chose and made it apart. It sees the pattern, it analyzes the pattern, and reinvents itself to more of a user-friendly thing. It enhances us. That's the very baseline idea. It simplifies our operational simplicity, fewer manual configurations, and overall easy, not so hard coded, not so manually driven. Okay. And I want to bring the attention to infrastructure plus AI hardware direction. I have seen, like we have already known, like tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Olama. These are models. These are models that we day to day use. But what is about infrastructure plus AI hardware direction? I've never heard this. AI hardware. What is it? To support all of this, at the reInvent AWS, they have announced updates on the infrastructure side, not just on the services, not just what every service is going to be enhanced by AI. They have updates have infrastructure, new generations of AI AWS design chips. They have hardware coming out. They have a lot of let's say they have AWS have these big data structures that's essentially helps us to go serverless. So they have becoming a bit more um, what to say arranged, or they're a bit more directed to this AI approach, and they want a more efficient compute for AI workloads. How a lot of traffic workloads are coming, they want to enhance with that of the AI, and it's about better performance per cost. We want to pay less and have more efficient outcomes of it. I think it's have talked about in the previous topic. In the previous topic, it's about enhancing AI with every single services for monitoring. For monitoring, we have AWS Athena, and for security, we have AWS Shield, Guard Duty. As Joshua talked about, we have enhanced protection against security, like every single baseline services, and resource recommendations. We have a thing in cloud systems called resource pooling. In applications, we tend to use an let's say we request for a resource. It goes to the it actually first checks the credentials if you are authorized to use that, and then it goes to our cloud providers, and then there's a whole process of whether should I grant the resource to you or not. So that whole process was manually done a few years ago, and right now the reInvent, they have est- uh, currently established that it's been more of a easy AI automation thing. Okay, so I do not want to go into that whole what happens in that. So I just want to give a baseline idea of AI essentially enhance the resource we request, and operational insights too. Let's say instead of separate AI tools, we want to use SageMaker, we want to use Bedrock, we want to use this one, that. It's not about we choose. Okay, so we choose, but it's all about that too. I feel like it's manually overriding. But at reInvent, they have once again, they have established that AWS is integrating intelligence directly into the cloud experience of its own users. AI is just becoming a part of how the cloud thinks, and not just AI as a separate domain. We in a college we have AI as one domain and cloud is a one domain. It's essentially trying to combine the both things. Okay, AI, ML, cloud. So it's extending the cloud services too, and out of all this, we have seen the guard duty, we have seen services, we have seen how it has been enhanced by the AI thing. But I wanna think again. So I hear about all of this. I see this reinvent. We're having this session, but what's it's gonna be? What matters? It's to me, like how it's gonna benefit me. So that's why you must be thinking. So why do we have to hear all this? So I want to bring to you a matter. Every student, every single one of us, we want to build scalable projects. We want to build something so good to put it on our resumes, to apply for jobs, to get like a scaffolding LPA. But how do we make it? We build scalable projects. So how to build scalable projects and bring it to another people, how other people could use? So this is the answer: AWS services, AWS AI enhanced services. So these services make our life, making our projects, how we build them, it actually redefined how we build projects essentially. Let's say the scalability in our projects, the efficiency, the performance, and how we are monitoring it through the usage of DevOps tools. You Dockerize an application, you rent out a pod in Kubernetes, and you want to log it. So everything has been enhanced by AI. So that's a baseline idea of what this reinvent recap has been done. And it's also been helpful in understanding how AI affects infrastructure decisions, and it's just as becoming important. And we all these years we have seen AI is one thing. We have been afraid of it. We have been skeptical of it, whether to use it or not. But it's essentially acclimated. It's becoming a normal routine. But 2 years ago, I haven't been using ChatGPT as much as right now what I'm using. So it's all about enhancing the future. So so as I said, the faster learning curve. Just a minute. Yeah. And AI, it's been integrated more with every single security, as a previous topic has been saying, the SQL injections or any other topic, like any other services, any other attacks or we face in the enhancing the security, enhancing the storage too. Many of us think in a cloud service or AWS, let's say, it's just used for storage, but it's not. It's not just used for storage, it's for servers and computations. It provides internet. It provides a lot of things, not just servers. So it's about workloads, and it's about a lot of things. So it essentially enhances us. So see, okay, and the high demand. I also want to touch upon this topic. With the traffic growing with every single application, we have with new generations. It's the AI race has been particularly very hard for us to take continue. We have OpenAI. We have a lot of different companies, OpenAI thing, and Gemini. They have been essentially going to war against with this AI thing. So how does AWS, how does it keeps up with this AI age? So it basically boils down everything to talking about AI automated projects, AI helping the students of us. We have the cloud clubs in every single colleges. It's about enhancing the users. It's about enhancing us students, how we use AWS services, how we use cloud alone. I think that boils down to everything. I think I would like to end my session there. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Keshav, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, fine. So, hello, everyone. I'm Keshav Srinivas. I'm an AWS Educate Program Advocate. I had the opportunity to attend AWS reInvent virtually, where I closely followed all the keynotes as well as major product announcements. So today, I'll be sharing the insights on students' perspective, mainly focusing on the latest Kiro announcements and how AI and data analytics in the AWS ecosystem has been increasing so fast. So basically, I'll break down all these concepts in a way which is easy for you guys to understand and highlight how students can start exploring and build more projects and using many various technologies. So basically, this session is aimed at helping you to connect with the announcements which have made and reinvent and the new technologies which has been introduced at AWS reInvent. So without any further ado, let me share my screen first of all. I hope my screen is visible, right? Yeah, okay, fine. So see guys, I'm not at all going to bore you guys. My topic is fully going to be on AI. So basically in today's AWS has recently announced in this year a new product called as Kiro. Kiro, how many people saw it? How many people used Kiro? You guys can raise your hands or you can comment. Anyone? Okay. Oh, only one. Okay, so we'll see what Kiro. So before going on to the announcement, we'll explore what is Kiro, what is the major objective to use Kiro. So before moving on to what is Kiro, the main thing which is evolving in today's world means the AI era is keep on fading in today's world, and a new era called as agentic AI is emerging. So basically, what is the main difference between AI and agentic AI? If you see AI, you can see from this diagram, right? You will give an input, what you need. You will mention it to ChatGPT, for example. You will mention what you need. So you will give the input where the ChatGPT or some AI will process each and every input you give. Once it is done, you will get an output. That is what a traditional AI happens. But in agentic AI, you will give an input where it will go into lots and lots of networks. So in that networks, it will analyze the input. A memory will be kept where more amount of data will be stored. So your input will go into numerous amount of network where analysis will happen. As a result, while analyzing, it will keep on optimizing it, which solution can be given for the particular input you give. So based on that analysis, many things will be created, and based on its memory, which is stored in the database, will also be used in that thing. So all this happens only when we have a coordination. So coordination happens, that is the main part in agentic AI. Once the coordination part is done, a decision need to be taken, a decision which is optimized in such a way that the solution is good enough for each and everything. So once it is optimized, we can execute that solution. That is the main difference between the AI and the agentic AI. As you can see, AI, it will follow the instructions which you give, but agentic AI will not follow the instructions you give. For example, if you see, you will give an input, as I mentioned earlier, you will give an input, you'll get an output from an AI. But in agentic AI, agents will keep on trying to reach the goal. You will mention what is the goal, what the task need to be performed. So to reach that goal, agentic AI will keep on making decisions, which is the most optimized one. And once it reaches the particular goal, that too in an optimized way, it will give a solution. That is the main difference between AI as well as agentic AI. It figures out the steps and adjusts when the things need to change. That is the main thing between AI and agentic AI. So whenever I talk to agentic AI, the main thing which was introduced by AWS in 2025 was Kiro. So Kiro, it is an agentic AI IDE. So many people have used the IDEs like VS Code and Cursor, right? So just like the Cursor, for example, Kiro is also one of the agentic AI IDE. So it is an IDE which is integrated with AI, and it is mainly designed for software development process. In a single line, if I have to say what a Kiro means, you'll give a prompt for an application or just a prompt how an application have to work. Once you give that prompt, from prototype to production, everything will be taken care of Kiro. It sounds good, right? Yeah, anyone want to say anything? Okay, fine. So as I mentioned, it is an AI powered IDE. So from prototype to production, just through prompt, you can use Kiro. So at its core part, Kiro utilizes spec-driven development. So many people used to hear this word spec-driven development. What is spec-driven development? So spec, the word, it is a short form of specification. So the specification you mentioned in your prompt, that is the spec-driven development. It will guide your ideas into a high form of architecture where you'll develop a whole application just through your natural language. That is the main part that Kiro utilizes. So Kiro utilizes mainly spec-driven development, and apart from spec-driven development, many features are also available in Kiro. This is the Kiro introduced by AA in 2025. So initially it was available only in some parts of the country. Now it is generally available everywhere. So when I talk to Kiro, you need to, for logging in, you need some. Okay. So whenever I say on Kiro, as it is an agentic AI, initially it was not at all available in all the countries. Now it is generally available. You can go and search kiro.dev. It is available and it is accessible to each and everyone. So whenever you try to install Kiro, you need to log in using your AWS Builder ID or Google account or GitHub. Anything is fine. So once you log in using an account at the initial stage for 30 days, 500 credits will be given. So using that 500 credits, you can develop anything from prompt to production. You can develop any application, whatever idea you have in mind. You can develop it and host it in using Kiro, using cloud applications, and make it publicly accessible. And for hackathons also, it is most advisable. So as I say, what is the main functionality happening behind Kiro? So as I mentioned, spec-driven development. It is the specifications which we give. So that specs is just going to be a natural language, which we mentioned. It is going to be a natural language for which the application we want to build. For example, I want to build e-commerce web platform. So in many platforms, you used to type like develop this platform, that application. But mainly what differs them and Kiro is that Kiro starts from prototype to production. As I mentioned, each and everything, the front end, the back end, the databases, everything will be taken care of the Kiro. The only thing which you need to focus on is the prompt. So prompt engineering is the basic condition required for handling Kiro. So if you're good at prompting, you are good to go. And as I said, you can create specs through natural language. So mainly, whenever you are giving a prompt to Kiro means the spec-driven development will classify your prompt into requirements, design, and task. So the prompt which you give, Kiro spec-driven development will be analyzing on the prompt which you give. So once it completes its analysis, the first document which it will create is the requirements.emd. So requirements.emd will include all the things like when the specific task has to occur in an application, how it need to be performing. Those are the requirements like libraries, what language need to be used, what are the basic requirements needed for the application to work. Those are the things which will be accommodated in the requirements.emd. So once requirements.emd is created, you need to review the requirements file. So once you are happy with the requirements file, you can give further tasks can be implemented. So once you've given that, Kiro will be generating a new file called as design.emd. So basically in design.emd file, all the architecture like technical stack from high level architecture to low level architecture, the system design, what are the technical stack need to be used, each and everything will be mentioned in the design.emd. And once you are happy with the decision.emd file, you can give further, you can proceed button, where Kiro will be generating a file called as task.emd. So in task.emd, Kiro will analyze the requirements.emd and design.emd. All the part is analyzed. So once the analyzation is complete, it will generate the task.emd, which will specify all the tasks need to be initiated and performed so that the application can be developed into a MVP, that is most viable product, so that the application can be accessible to everyone and it works correctly as you mentioned in your prompt. So that is the spec-driven development. So as I mentioned, spec-driven development from prompt to prototype. So we are giving a prompt to your natural language. So once you give prompt to your natural language, Kiro will analyze your prompt. So then Kiro will be it will generate three kinds of files. One is the requirements, another is the design, and another is the task.md. This is the spec-driven development which is happening behind Kiro. So the basic functionality as a flowchart, if you see, the user will provide the requirement in natural language. So you will mention what you want to build through your natural language. That is the prompt engineering. If you are very good at prompt engineering, if you are giving the exact prompt which you are having in mind, the application which you develop will be a 5-star actually. you describe what you want to build, it will be analyzed by Kiro. So once the analyzation is complete, as I mentioned, Kiro will break it into 3 structured documents. One will be requirements.md, another will be design.md, another will be task.md. So in requires.md, whatever the user mentioned as a story, it will be given in a structured format like requirements. And for example, whenever the use for I have added an example, right, for an e-commerce platform, whenever the user clicks add to cart, then system shall add item to the cart. That is the basic requirement which needs to be satisfied for an e-commerce platform, right? That is the main example which will be consisting in the requirements.md file. And secondly, the second file which Kiro generates is that the design MD. It will contain all the technical stack, the high-level architecture and the low-level architecture, the components and the data model, the technical stack, whatever you need for that particular application, everything will be given in the design file. Once the design file is generated, the next file will be generated as the task.md. So for that application to develop, what are the tasks it need to be mentioned by the users, so that application will be developed in like an MVP. That is the main thing. So user will give a natural language, Kiro will analyze it, Kiro will break it into a 3 structured format. The 3 structured documents are going to be requirements, design, and task. This is the main spec-driven development flowchart. So next, this session mainly focuses on the announcement which are made at AWS re:Invent. So majorly in the part of AI, Kiro announcement, if you see, an autonomous agents were introduced. Autonomous agents are nothing but a frontier agents. In the class of AI agents, a new agents called as frontier agents was introduced by AWS. Frontier agents are nothing like the agents which are performing tasks without or minimal human intervention. Those agents are called as frontier agents. So frontier agents are nothing but no or minimal human intervention will be given for that agent. So that frontier agents as a category was introduced as Kiro autonomous agents. It is the autonomous agents that extends your whole flow. So in Kiro, you can mention what prompt you need. So that frontier agent, as I mentioned, the human intervention will be too much minimal. Just the prompt is enough. Everything will be taken by the Kiro. This was one major announcement which was made during re:Invent 2025. The second major announcement which was made during Kiro announcement was the Kiro free for startups. So by the end of this year, that is 31st December, the applications for startups, right? 1 year of Kiro free will be given for qualified startups only. And currently, due to high demand of it, the forms have been currently closed. Only 100 credits will be given for each and every startups. And for a particular startup, for example, an industry, more than 100 users